I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Ayman Safadi, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of Jordan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Madam President, dear colleagues. Thank you for acting on Jordan's request to hold this special session on UNRWA. Dear colleagues, Gaza is starving. Its 2.3 million population is facing famine. This is the doing of Israel, which is using starvation as a weapon, in violation of international law, in defiance of the collective will of the world, as expressed through the General Assembly and Security Council resolutions, and in complete disregard to human values. The suffering is beyond words. Only one agency has the knowledge, the ability, and the infrastructure to help ease it. It is UNRWA, the backbone of humanitarian efforts in Gaza. Israel wants to break it. Do not allow it to do so. UNRWA deserves your support because only UNRWA has the ability to meaningfully help starved Palestinians in Gaza and provide vital services to Palestinian refugees in its 5 areas of operation. UNRWA deserves your respect for the sacrifices it has made to ensure Palestinians in Gaza do not die from hunger. 178 persons of UNRWA staff have fallen to Israel's bullets and bombs. And Felipe, we renew our deepest condolences. Our hearts go out to those victims and to their families. Dear colleagues, the little aid that Israel is allowing into Gaza is not being efficiently distributed because Israel has prevented UNRWA from fulfilling the mandate that the UN gave it. And the UN is the whole world. The UN is all countries of the world. So when the UN decides, it is the world that decided. It's the countries that are members of the UN that decided. Attacking the UN is attacking the whole international community, is attacking international law, is attacking the multilateral system that we all support and the UN has been created to preserve. Children are dying because UNRWA and other aid agencies are forbidden from helping them in Gaza. Some of those who tried have been killed in cold blood by Israeli occupation forces. Even after the global outcry against the killing of the World Central Kitchen aid workers, Israel targeted a UNICEF team who miraculously dodged death, and there has been no independent investigation of those crimes. There's been no effort to force an independent investigation of those cold-blooded crimes that were there for everybody to see. Dear colleagues, the truth is another victim of Israel's aggression on Gaza. The disinformation campaign that the Israeli government has been spreading against UNRWA, the lies, the distortion of history, and the distortion of the present must not shape worldview of the agencies. UNRWA's essential work, its commitment to UN values, its sacrifices, and the dedication of its staff must. Israel leveled allegations against 12 of UNRWA's 13,000 staff members in Gaza. The agency acted responsibly. The UN fired those staff members even before an investigation was launched. The agency welcomed and fully cooperated with an independent investigation which is headed by former French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna. The UN also launched its own internal investigation into the allegations. UNRWA has nothing to hide. It faced up to its responsibilities. It has committed to fixing any wrongdoings or shortfalls should any be found. Yet the Israeli witch hunt of the agency continues. This witch hunt started long before the allegations against the 12 members of its staff were made. The agency has been the target of a political assassination campaign for years. Israel wants to kill UNRWA and what UNRWA represents. The purpose of the attack on UNRWA is to kill the Palestinian refugees' rights, to kill the Palestinian issue, and to kill the discussion that there is an occupation that is illegal, that is inhumane, that must end. It will not succeed. UNRWA must be protected now in the same way that it was protected in the past. For UNRWA is a bright spot in the misery that Israel has forced on Palestinian refugees. For it has provided hope, education, and opportunity for Palestinian refugees in Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. About 5.6 million refugees look to UNRWA for that hope. They see it as a symbol that the world still cares about their plight, and that the world still cares about alleviating the historical injustice to which they have been subjected. Over 300,000 students used to attend UNRWA schools in Gaza before the Israeli aggression forced what it did not destroy among them into becoming overcrowded shelters for hundreds of thousands of the 1.7 million Palestinians it has displaced in Gaza. Hundreds of thousands more in the West Bank, Syria, Lebanon will be denied their right to education and medical care if it were not for UNRWA. Over 100,000 boys and girls of the 2.3 million Palestinian refugees in Jordan received their education at UNRWA schools. No other agency can do what UNRWA does. Dear colleagues, UNRWA was born out of the Nakba of 1948, when Israel pushed hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes on their ancestral land. The United Nations created it as a temporary agency to care for refugees until they can go back home. They have not. In 1967, more Palestinians joined them in displacement. The refugees' plight persists. UNRWA must remain. That is the simple fact. That is the simple obligation. That is legal. That is moral. That is human. UNRWA must continue to implement its mandate until the refugee issue is resolved in accordance with international law and relevant UN resolutions which uphold their right to return and compensation, and in the context of a comprehensive solution to the conflict. That solution will not be attained unless the cancer that is the occupation, unless the evil that is the occupation has ended and the Palestinians get to live in dignity and freedom in their own independent, sovereign state on their ancestral homeland. My dear colleagues, UNRWA is indispensable. It is irreplaceable. It is more needed now than ever before, as children are literally dying from starvation and dehydration in the inferno of pain, death, and suffering the Israeli war has made Gaza. The war in Gaza must stop, and it will stop. And when it does, the world will see the inhumane reality Israel has forced on Gaza and has largely kept away from the eyes of the world by banning journalists from entering the Strip and covering the destruction. Then, when that happens, when the world can actually see the amount of destruction and death and suffering that Israel has brought to Gaza, the world will recognize even more how much it needs UNRWA and how vital UNRWA's role is. We thank all our partners who continue to help UNRWA. And we urge you all, protect UNRWA now, just like you protected it in the past. Support it financially and politically. For supporting UNRWA is supporting regional stability. Saving UNRWA is saving lives, saving hope, and standing on the side of justice and on the side of the right of Palestinian people to live in dignity, in freedom, without fear, without intimidation, without deprivation, and without the oppression of having no hope that their plight will end, and watching their kin in Gaza being killed and on the West Bank being subject to all kinds of oppression, attacks, settlers, terrorism, confiscation of their land, building of settlements on their houses, on their farms. That has to stop. Only if we do that will the Middle East has the peace that it deserves, and only if the Palestinian people get their right will the Palestinians and the Israelis and all of us live in peace. Thank you so much.